Good morning, everyone, and welcome to our presentation on Ryanair SWOT analysis. I will take the introduction of the industry and the firm, as well as opportunities. Sohail will take strengths, Tang will take weaknesses, and Arthur will take threats and conclusion. Ryanair is Europe's largest airline group. During 2019 to 2020, they carried 149 million passengers to more than 240 destinations in 40 countries. The picture changed dramatically during 2020 as a result of COVID-19, but there are plans to increase traffic to 200 million passengers over the next 5 years. They currently operate more than 430 Boeing 737-800 aircraft and 29 Airbus A320 aircraft. They have 210 new Boeing 737s on order, which will facilitate the planned growth in passenger traffic. In November 2020, Ryanair reported a loss of 197 million. This was caused by 99% of their fleet being grounded from mid-March to the end of June. Air traffic fell from 86 million passengers to 17 million passengers. While service resumed during July and August, passenger numbers remained low as EU governments imposed travel bans and widespread lockdowns, and numbers of forward bookings were negatively impacted by these restrictions. Cost reduction measures were implemented across the business. This graph shows the steady increase in passenger numbers year on year between 2011 and 2020. Numbers had almost doubled, and they were expected to continue on that trajectory going forward. As we all know, aviation has been badly affected by the pandemic, and numbers are just currently over 10% of the amount of passengers that came through this time last year. Now I'll pass you over to Sohail, and he'll be talking about the strengths.
So one of the main key strengths of Ryanair is its leadership. It's one of the most competitive advantages Ryanair has over its competitors. Michael O'Leary, the CEO of Ryanair, is a major strategy in Ryanair's competitive advantage over its rivals. Michael O'Leary is known for his outspokenness, his arrogance, and he's been credited for transforming European air transportation. Under the management of Michael O'Leary, the airline was awarded an International Airline Award for the best managed airline in 2001. Michael O'Leary was also given an award for the European Businessman of the Year by Fortune magazine, and he was named one of Europe's Business Star in 2004. Present and past employees see him as a good leader, a good motivator, and an energizer, and he's also a very good public figure, which has led to a good marketing and publicity strategy for Ryanair. Next, we move on to low cost fares. Of course, Ryanair. If you mention Ryanair, the first thing that's going to pop into people's head is their low, their cheap flights and how cheap their fares are. Low fares, they've always been Ryanair's strategy and competitive advantage over its competitors. Its low fares were initially to attract passengers and to encourage demand from fare-conscious leisure and business travellers who would rather use other forms of transportation or would not travel at any point. Michael O'Leary makes sure that more than 80% of their seats is filled up in all of their flights, which analysts believe that it's one of Ryanair's strategy to make the environment difficult for its competitors to work in, thereby giving up the business. Ryanair sells seats on a one-way direction price, preventing stay requirement and extra costs from all their travel services, whatever the fare may be. We move on to low operation costs. So in order to be able to offer the lowest fares, Ryanair has to minimise its cost. Of course, it's believed that Ryanair's operating cost is one of the lowest amongst Europe's passenger scheduled airlines. Ryanair's low operating cost has led to a reduction in their expenses, such as avoiding excess spending on aircraft maintenance, customer service, self-productivity, and cost of airport access, unlike traditional carriers who spend more on the maintenance part rather than the aircrafts and make no profit. Ryanair aims to improve the productivity of its labour force by controlling its labour costs. For example, encouraging their employees by rewarding them, compensating flight attendances for sales made on board, and paying pilots and cabin crew personnel and staff based on the numbers of hours flown. Thank you very much.
Next, we move to the weakness of Ryanair. The first weakness is brand perceptions. For many years, Ryanair has trumpeted its success in providing what it believes customers want, namely safe air travel at a low fare with high levels of punctuality. Indeed, this is the core of what short-haul passengers require from a low-cost carrier. However, for many years, Ryanair's brand has performed poorly in a range of polls, surveys, and rewards. The next weakness is seasonality of earnings. As for the industry in general, Ryanair's earnings are highly seasonal, with its profit increasingly relying on a strong northern hemisphere summer. In particular, its second quarter, which is from July to September. Ryanair has consistently made losses in at least one of the four winter quarters, by contrast to the previous 10 years of profits in all four quarters. This pattern of seasonality has become more pronounced since 2008 and 2009. This is a bar chart of Ryanair's quarterly operating profit starting from 2000 to 2013. In general, we can see the earning of Ryanair is rising consistently. In detail, we can see the second quarter in every year always has the highest earnings, but starting from 2009 to quarter three start to have negative earning. Now we move to the airport choices. Ryanair's regional airports tend to be seen as far distance from the city that they are covering. One competitive advantage for their competitors is that the factors they serve more convenient locations. Ryanair's airport choices are mainly an advantage, but where it has labeled an airport as serving a major city, while the airport is in fact many miles away from the city. Low frequencies is another weakness. Ryanair tends to offer lower frequencies on its routes than its competitors and often has departures at very inconvenient times in order to keep costs and turnaround times down. While this arguably may not be a significant weakness on leisure routes, and has even helped to allow Ryanair in its land grab of airports and routes, it is certainly a disadvantage in attracting higher airline business passengers and some leisure passengers.
Now on to Ryanair opportunities. Ryanair has achieved success in a very competitive market and has proven resilience over the years. This may well be the most important factor in helping them recover their market share once this pandemic is over. While IATA predicts it will be 2024 before passenger numbers return to pre-COVID numbers, that may not be the case, and the vaccination program currently being implemented in many European countries could well mean a faster recovery time for the aviation sector. The market slump is also providing some unexpected opportunities. One example is the Bank of England's COVID corporate financing facility, which will provide €800 million in lending to Ryanair. This will help them finance their aircraft currently on order from Boeing. As the aviation market struggles, a number of airlines have shut down, and therefore post-COVID-19 there will be less competition in the sector for Ryanair. As airlines close around the world, there will be availability of thousands of skilled professionals, such as pilots, cabin crews, ground staff, and engineers. Ryanair will have an opportunity to select the best available talent. Airbus, which is the largest airline manufacturer in the world, has announced plans to reduce its workforce by 15,000 as aircraft manufacturers are directly affected by the pandemic. There might be an opportunity for Ryanair to purchase some aircraft at a cheap price. At the same time, Morgan Stanley Bank have predicted that Southwest Airlines stock will soar once the travel restrictions are lifted. It could be hoped for that Ryanair stock will soar in similar fashion. And now I'll pass you on to Arthur, who will be doing the threats. This graph shows the predicted passenger increase from 2013 to 2024. It was prepared when there was no indication that aviation would almost grind to a halt. While it is hoped the increase predicted by 2024 may still be possible, there is also a possibility that growth may not be as strong. Although it may take longer to achieve the desired result, this forward planning on passenger numbers allows Ryanair to forward purchase aircraft to meet the anticipated demand.
Hello everyone, my name is Arta and I will now be taking over from Shane and I will be going through the threats that Ryanair are now faced with. Over the years there has been sections in the media that suggest that Ryanair's cheap cost approach means that it cuts corners when it comes to safety. Ryanair, however, has always defended its reputation, but a major accident could be very harmful to Ryanair's reputation and future growth plans. Ryanair has a price that is unlikely for other European airlines to compete with. However, customers don't always buy based on price. They look at other things including the quality of the service and the overall satisfaction with the airline. This is an area where other airlines may be preferable compared to Ryanair. Ryanair was just one of hundreds of thousands of businesses that were affected by the outbreak of COVID-19. Ryanair had to take urgent actions to respond to the new restrictions. Travel restrictions were imposed by national governments with minimal notice. To deal with this, Ryanair had to quickly inform all affected passengers by mail or phone. Organisation of rescue flights were also made to bring customers back home to their family and friends. Due to COVID-19, flights had to be cancelled in order to comply with the new restrictions that were imposed, so therefore jobs were also affected. The CEO of Ryanair, Michael O'Leary, said Ryanair has taken all actions to cut operating expenses and improve cash flow. They did this by cutting approximately 3,000 pilot and cabin crew jobs, implementing pay cuts of around 20%, and closed a number of aircraft bases across Europe. Now, this is what came about as a result of the travel restrictions and bans being imposed. The airline operated only 701 flights in May 2020 compared to the forecasted number of 70,000 flights. These flights included the rescue flights done to bring people back home to their families and friends. In conclusion, the CEO Michael O'Leary is what drives Ryanair's success. One of the ways he does this is by making sure 80% of all seats on Ryanair flights are occupied. Ryanair usually struggle in the winter months from October to December and usually make a loss during these months. 20 airlines have shut down or declared bankruptcy due to COVID-19. However, Ryanair is resilient and will survive the pandemic. Ryanair have a cheap cost approach, however, do not provide higher service quality compared to other airlines. This means they could lose customers to these other airlines. Now, you might be wondering, will Ryanair survive through these difficult times? Well, Michael O'Leary said that Ryanair is a resilient airline group with a very strong balance sheet and substantial cash liquidity. They can survive through a prolonged period of reduced or even zero flight schedules. However, this cannot be said for many other businesses affected by the pandemic, including many different restaurants, retailers, and even other airlines. Thank you all very much for listening and have a great rest of your day.